2 years ago today, of course, we lost basketball great Kobe Bryant. Still hard to believe. The helicopter crash in Southern California claimed the lives of 8 other people, including Kobe's 13-year-old daughter, Gianna. Vanessa Bryant and the couple's 3 other daughters are among those still trying to cope with this. Vanessa, of course, is suing Los Angeles County for invasion of privacy and negligence. She says fire and sheriff's department employees took and shared crash scene photos of her dead husband and child. And of course, the trial is scheduled to start on that next month. But aside from the trial, of course, once again, it is just hard to believe, Sharon, that it's been 2 years since Kobe left us. And he's one of those guys that you'll always know when and where you were when you first heard the news of Kobe Bryant's passing. And of course, we'll definitely miss him. But as they always say, that Mamba mentality just kind of lives and is still fueled inside of a lot of us.
Yeah, I remember where I was. I was at home. I remember who I first reached out to, and I later felt a little guilty about that, just because they knew and loved him. But I've been thinking about, it just doesn't seem like 2 years, does it, you know? And I've been thinking about Vanessa, who Kobe believed in and loved. Remember all the flack he got when he was that Lakers rookie and he was dating this high school student, and he wouldn't listen, and he wouldn't do a prenup. He was estranged from his parents after some time because of the choice, but he believed in that love, and later she believed in him, right? As they went through their ups and downs, as nobody knows about somebody else's relationship, that was between the two of them, and they made it on the other side, and he was supposed to be here. And when I think about, you know, I was just jotting down some of her, I think she's a hero. I do. For the way she has stepped front and center. People think that when you are this kind of celebrity wife and you have a famous spouse who the entire universe knows that you want the limelight. And I'm not saying she didn't enjoy it, but she didn't step before crowds and make speeches, Mike. Since he passed, God, has she stepped up. She's buried her husband, speaking at the memorial, buried her daughter, Hall of Fame speech, sued the helicopter company, settled, sued, as you said, LA County, and is going the distance there. The business deal we read about that takes her from being richer to mega richer, you know, and raising throughout all of it her daughters. And settling a lawsuit, an unfortunate one with her mother. I think she's tremendous, and she too is part of his enormous legacy.
Yeah, and was so strong and so brave during his Hall of Fame acceptance speech when she went up on stage, of course, introduced by Michael Jordan, who was Kobe Bryant's big brother. They had a great relationship. And she's been strong. She's done so much, and she stepped forward, and she keeps that legacy of Kobe Bryant living on. Just remember, she not only lost her husband in that helicopter crash, she lost her daughter. And no parent should ever have to bury their child. That is a pain and a hurt that will always stay inside of her. That double loss on that tragic day 2 years ago will always stay with her. If we feel this way, imagine how the Bryant family is feeling these days right now with those 3 daughters who are without one of their sisters, without their father, who is there to love and protect them. Of course, his memory will always live on. And once again, I feel like I have that Kobe mentality inside of me. That's why I will always say he will live on through us. Because one thing I loved about Kobe, not just the stuff that he did off the court, and I think his greatest accomplishments were actually going to come post basketball. Remember, this man won an Academy Award for animated short. So he was doing some great things in media after basketball was over for him. But what he did on the basketball court and the way he lived his life as far as like professionally, and how he had that drive and how he had all this God-given talent, and he loved the game of basketball, but he always wanted to get better. And he didn't let anything or anyone outside of his family get in the way of him excelling his game. And one thing about Kobe and that Kobe mentality is he not only believed in himself, but, you know, he wanted other people around him to have that same mentality. And he also demanded that they step up, not just on the basketball court, but anything that they did in life. So everybody has this example of Kobe Bryant and what he brought to the table. What I say is, yes, he's gone from us here on earth, but because of what he left behind and what he instilled inside of us, he will live on forever.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Kobe Bryant was in a fight with himself. There was nobody outside that bubble of his head. Perhaps Vanessa was in there too. But he was in a fight to get better, as you said, with himself. People don't like to mention the allegations against him. But do you remember when he had to go to court that day? His freedom is at stake. And he charters the plane, goes back to the playoff game, and there's a record. There he is in his own head. And that's just a game, basketball. But it is a metaphor for so much more. That Mamba mentality that he has passed through, clearly, his daughter who died, but the rest of his family and his wife. And so it's like he's still here. It's like he's still here. But at least we have the memories, right? At least we have that.
Yep. And so rest in peace. We got the memories. Rest in peace to Kobe and Gianna. And let's not forget the 7 other people who are also lost their life on that day because their family is still remembering and suffering without them as well. So rest in peace to the Mamba, Kobe Bryant.